What's up? It's us, we're Hearthfire Tales. Welcome back to this episode that is kind of like a backstage pass, but not really a backstage pass. This is
This is
going to
going to be ice cold, guys. Ice fucking cold.
Why is it cold? Why can it not be like lukewarm?
No,
No.
it can't. It's going to be fucking bitter. Absolutely
Bitter!
fucking
Just
Baltic, lads.
frosty, the frostiest of episodes. First off, welcome back, Ryan. We
Hey!
missed you.
I exist, yeah.
It's been like 2 months.
I know. It's, literally been 10 weeks since I've seen you guys. It's weird.
Yeah.
You're off getting cultured, and we've just been stagnating and getting more and more deep fried over here.
I don't know if cultured is the right term. More like
Culture
drinking
shocked.
40-cent beer in Vietnam.
That's culture.
Like I
that is
said.
culture.
Getting tanked.
I'm Iceman in this scenario.
Um,
Just call me Bobby Drake.
No, it was great. I especially love that you said that it was going to be a cold episode because, it was like 34 degrees in Vietnam. So, like,
could not handle that.
no, the heat is okay when you're at the beach.
I could handle
It's
that.
not like it wouldn't be okay here, like just hanging out, but
Yeah.
at the beach,
No, like, see, because one of Sarah's friends lives in Vietnam, they say like when it drops below like 12 degrees or something, there's like national emergency, like schools are closed because it's too cold. We're like, oh, you mean every day here?
Our norm?
Yeah.
Sure.
When we got off the plane here, we really thought we misheard the pilot and that he had said 16 degrees and not 6 degrees. So that was a bit of shock.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
Anyway,
cool.
This preamble has gone on too long. Dylan.
Sorry
questions.
that we say hello to the person who's been missing from our lives.
Sorry, missed you too, Jim. Jesus
If you
Christ,
wanted, if you wanted attention, you should have been here. Simple as.
Yes. So
I'm just gonna talk to chat then. Hi, chat. I missed you
So
more
what
than I missed
we are
Jim.
doing here is a special Q&A/Talkback episode as a kind of stopgap between what we had in Whispering Ashes and, of course, Midwinter Tale that's coming up in 2 weeks, which is super excited. And we're definitely ready and everything is definitely edited and all the music is written and everything is happening.
Are you guys good to play that tomorrow?
I mean, or maybe I've literally got keyboards like strewn around my room while I'm desperately trying to write things.
Anyway, Ryan has been like sending me on music, and I'm like, more smooth, more 80s, more synth.
I'm like, please, I've not slept.
Anyway, so what we're gonna do is just do a general talk back. We have a absolute shed load of questions here from all you beautiful people who have sent in questions. So I think we're gonna kind of get just started going through these. But if you're with us live here, if you have questions, throw them into chat. We will get to them. If you want questions or elaboration on the stuff we're talking about, hit us with it. Sometimes it can be very easy for us to kind of just assume that we know the context of what we're talking about, but other people might not. So if you want elaboration, go for it. We are here to serve you. And the first thing we're going to serve, I've got these in no order, by the way, because that would be prep and not going to happen. So the first question I have, I believe, is from Kira, and they have asked, first question being, is this world entirely your creation that was directed at me or a collab with the others? So I'm assuming this is kind of to do with Lethwan, but I mean, I think it's, well, obviously there's a lot of plagiarism involved. But
as is tradition in D&D, like
standard.
A serious amount of plagiarism.
But yeah, but the majority is mine. But that said, I kind of, the way I world build is very open, and it kind of allows a lot of room for the guys to come in. So like Ryan, obviously you've pretty much world built, all of town. Really, you're kind of the driving force behind that. So I don't know, do you want to talk anything about like town and kind of what you're kind of like, what was it like kind of like just shoehorn like a bit of world building into
commune
my
into it.
yeah.
And you know, I mean, I suppose that's not 100% like you know, just original either, because I think I mentioned in a few episodes that like the language that they use in town and their writing structure and the names and everything, I'm going to disappoint somebody, but I believe it's primarily based on Mesopotamian um, writing and like their ancient library that they had, which was like a center part of it. And like the Dreamers were actually based on, I think it was ancient Roman. Man, it's been a long time. I don't have my notes in front of me. I wasn't kind of expecting it, but there was a whole big thing there of like they had people that they believed could dream about what their enemies were going to be doing. So that entire thing of the Dreamers is being part of like, you know, the scholars and everything was, so I kind of just took two real world things and mashed them together and made town, you know, from there. As well as I really like the library in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So
Yeah, that was a big
One
element.
Tong's library.
yeah,
when Ryan has come to me, and like it took me, because I think at the same time that you would come to me, that I was also watching Avatar, and I was like, it's going to be so hard to in my head not just completely rip that off and just have that be the same kind of whole vibe.
yeah. I mean, that was really what I was going for with it, because I just thought it was so cool, and I hated that it was only one episode, and you know, then they didn't do much with it past that. So
I always liked that in Korra you could see the skeleton of the archaeologist.
Spoilers!
Go back there. It's not really a spoiler.
Jesus.
It's just an Easter egg.
You mean he died like hundreds of years later?
Yeah, it's very fresh.
And then like Jim has also contributed a lot to it and will contribute more. So I think Jim's wants to kind of do a lot more with Azumaki kind of in this upcoming arc. But then, you know, obviously, like everything to do with the guys' backstories is full them. You know, they pretty much came to me being like, I want to do this, this, and this, and I kind of just took that and incorporated it into the world. So I don't know, Jim, if you want to talk anything about kind of like Holy Thunder Force and Khan's backstory, and you know what maybe you're thinking with Azumaki and how that might kind of develop.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Holy Thunder Force was all very natural. The way, like, it kind of, we were talking about Khan's backstory, you know, and that had like 5 or 6 different iterations before we landed on where it was, you know, and then just because of the beats of his backstory, that kind of led into like almost just gave birth to this world and story around it, you know. Especially like taking in stuff like what the oath means to these soldiers and how that would, you know, affect how they build themselves up as a unit. So like they're defenders, so yeah, they're in passes defending and stuff like that, you know. I mean, it's all very natural coming from just the story that we had for him, you know. Whereas Azumaki, looking forward, we're being a lot more deliberate about it, I think, in saying like, okay, well, we're starting with, here's a landmass, here's the little bit of history you've told me about it for Bren's backstory, you know, and then it's like building out this political landscape and then looking at like, you know, basic world building stuff. Like, so these guys live in, you know, what would you call them? Trenches, canyons, chasms? Yeah.
Chasms, canyons.
So like, how does life change because you live in a chasm, you know? So as much as we haven't, like, we haven't gotten into it as much yet as we would have Khans, but I've got lots of fun ideas and I can't wait to kind of sink my teeth into the, like, us working to make Azumaki something cool.
Yeah, nice.
And working really, really hard to make sure it's not just ripping on the Shattered Plains from
I think that will be very different.
Yeah. But what I really like is the whole, like, the culture. I don't want to say too much because I don't know how much you want, but like the culture that it's built around and the history of it and everything that entails could lead to some fiery kind of cultural stuff.
Interesting.
I like that Dredd has said that Khan's northern accent was one of the best she's heard there. So
Is that right? I haven't played him in so long. I feel like my Khan accent is starting to slip a bit. Nah, he's still here.
Not dead yet.
I've always maintained, and Dylan will probably back me up on this, but I'm going to be one of those old men who, for no reason, adopts a Belfast accent.
Just for the air of mystery that it's going to give you.
Just because I feel like some old Irish men just do that. Like, they're just like, all right, I'm 64. I have a Belfast accent.
I don't think I've met those men, but I'll take your word for it.
I have. There's a few elder Toohies out there who have a bit of a Belfast accent for no good reason.
Following on from that question, I've got a question here about that's very kind of to the point. Why is town so secluded? So I think this.
I don't know how much I can talk about that yet.
I think it's probably not something that's going to naturally come up in the podcast, because I think it probably a lot of people, a lot of the characters would like know it more, more or less. So they're probably not going to ask questions about it. So yeah, you can kind of talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So when I came to Dylan with the idea of town, one of the big things that I said that I wanted to be really, really important with it is that it was completely neutral when it came to like any of the wars or anything like that. Just an entirely neutral place. And I wanted it to be that both sides, like if there was like a war going on, that both sides saw it as a resource, but respected the idea that you don't attack, you don't try and take over town, it's just a source of knowledge, and that they don't adopt any of the currencies from any of the surrounding areas, anything like that. It's just a completely neutral area, and that is what is respected. And I said that was kind of the core tenet of what I wanted with it. So Dylan, with this huge political landscape he'd structured, it was like, okay, well, we need to make this make sense geographically as well. So it can't be in a place that is,
strategically
rich
important.
rich in resources or anything. And the other thing as well is that I wanted that library to be built into a mountain. Again, going with like some of the ancient structures, you've seen one of the seven wonders of the world, the big temple built into the mountains. And I wanted it to have that kind of feel with it. And so all of that together just makes it have to be isolated to be able to work without being somewhere that strategically any army would want to take over,
Yeah, I love that aspect of world building where it's like, okay, I have this. What are the repercussions of this? What are the implications of this? And, what's going to naturally come along? And then I love, especially with town, where it's something that's like very, very like not the real world. I mean, like, if this was the real world, because that's the Great Library of Alexandria, it would be burnt because people have, and so it's like
they get their knowledge and then burn down,
This is it, it would be razed and pillaged. But like, it's like, okay, so what cool ideas can we have to ensure that kind of peace? And something that I don't think has come up in the podcast much has been the fact that, each nation or, former nation before it was all unified under the Hootsman would have sent people there as a kind of, not quite as tribute, but a kind of like almost like vassals to be like, okay, you go learn from here. And also, we'll send people who are not just for like political reasons, but actually like, oh, you're going to go study in town. And,
Just
there's like a
kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like, or it was also kind of a case of like, oh, we need to build a new aqueduct. We are going to hire the engineers from town to come out and do that for us. And that's how town earns their money and earns their keep as well.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, early on in the podcast, I think I make a mention of like Bush having a town accent. And it was after that episode that you and I like actually got to talking about it. I think we were just out for drinks or something like that and got to talking about it. And we're like, it actually doesn't make sense for town to have an accent. because people would be sent from all over. It should be more like, some, I'm missing the word, but like a big city type thing where there's not
like a
really
melting
pot.
a melting pot of it. It's not one big defined.
It's like metropolitan versus such a small commune.
Everybody just talks like Schmidt from Nugo.
Yeah, and it's almost like, there's a big joke about how when people go to Trinity, they adopt a different accent. And I started seeing it that way, that Sid's got an accent that he, almost like that kid that sees a movie and then bases his entire personality off of it. Like, Sid has seen different bands or things like that and decided to base his entire accent and personality and who he is off of that, as opposed to just having his mother's accent or Herman's accent.
I think I don't know if I've outwardly canonically said this, but Bush's accent and kind of the accent that Sid uses is technically should be from the Isles of Sylvia.
I think you mentioned that at one point.
And they're kind of like somewhat like they're all islands. So it's like it kind of like that kind of surfer vibe.
I was about to say, to give that a surfer accent is incredible.
I've got two questions that I'm going to answer at the same time because they are big spoiler territory, but I just want to acknowledge them. I think this is still Kira. They want to know more about who's force coming to be such a prominent force, and where did Ray come from, as in Ray Kara, the Guardian of Town. Listen to find out. Listen to find out. They are way big spoilers and going to be big plot points. So yeah.
But where did Ray come from? Our hearts.
Yes, that's
perfect time to introduce.
Where's the map?
Why did you have that?
Fuck. People like
we have a reputation, Ryan. We had a good one, and then you have.
Even the listeners know it's not in jest anymore.
Once one episode, that's a joke. 2 episodes, that's a recurring gag, a recurring bit. This is taking the absolute piss.
This is now thematic. This is the theme of the podcast now.
We went to a maid cafe in Japan, in Akihabara.
You know what?
They came up to Joanna and
I want you to stop speaking.
They asked Joanna,
I'm going to direct this one at you.
Would you please turn down his levels?
I'll try.
Go on.
This one's kind of half about Bren. How are tieflings? Yeah, I'm actually kind of going to come. I have another kind of question that from Becca that kind of combines these two. It is a tiefling.
I could see it coming from Becca. All right.
Yeah. One is, with the introduction of Bren, can we expect to see more tieflings? And how are tieflings viewed in this world? The use of the ring suggests not well, so I'm curious about that. So, Jim, I'll kind of let you.
I can answer from Bren's point of view now, unless you've got some kind of tiefling euphoria. Hold on, let me just get in.
I mean, I will chime in on the kind of the greater world perspective.
The thing about Bren is, right? He's been hiding for a long time, because the world has mistreated him. Because of how he looks, and the fact that he's kind of like got infernal heritage or whatever is. I don't know if I can't remember if it's gone live or if we've talked about it on the podcast yet. So I'll dance around it. But like he's kind of unique in everything I know so far, is in that there's no other tieflings. They're like insanely rare in Letuan. It wouldn't be like Forbidden Realms or whatever that like every second character is a fucking tiefling at this point. That's just me playing active Baldur's Gate. Everyone is a fucking tiefling. But yeah, no. So Bren is kind of unique, and because of that, he's received like the odd glance, the odd sword chucked his way. And then because of everything that happened in Azumakia as well, like because he's such a unique thing and has such an infernal visage, he even then has been, like, what would you say, devilified, demonized, and turned into almost devilized. Yeah, he got devilized and turned almost into like folklore. Like the devil of the streets is something that yeah, sorry, just looking Love Murder Rose. If they don't want people to play the tieflings, then why tiefling hot, right? Right?
Yeah, tieflings are pretty hot, to be fair.
Yeah, well, they can only ever be second to dwarves, but I mean, it's a noble second.
True.
But yeah, no, I mean, long story short, no, not common. Yeah, like, but then you get people like Sid who are like, "Oh, you're a cutie," So I think
but Sid's also hung around with Blake, so
yeah, he's had a bit of a raw deal since his birth, So yeah, I wouldn't say they're common, and I wouldn't say they're accepted in society just yet.
Yeah, I'll kind of expand on that a little bit. So obviously the big things about tieflings and Asimar or Asimar, whatever you want to pronounce it, is that they are, there's heritage in their bloodlines from realms outside of the prime material plane, right? So from like the celestial beings or infernal beings and stuff like that. And
see, I can't remember if we touched that in the podcast or not. I was trying to dance around all that stuff.
I don't think we have. So this is kind of like, I guess this is like special inside knowledge for checking this episode out. But really, it's not really a spoiler because this is intuitive, and we've kind of said as much in the past on the podcast where, other planes of existence are incredibly hard to get to. It was, I think I tried to make a very specific point when you guys went to the elemental planes of
it's like the stuff of legend.
This is totally unheard of, like this doesn't happen, is very, very rare. So then for people to go to these other planes and have interactions from other planes, for them to intermingle and like pass down bloodlines is even much, much, much rarer. I won't say too much more than that because that's kind of getting into Bren backstory, which not even Ryan knows.
We haven't touched it all yet.
But yeah, so basically, to answer the original question, tieflings super, super rare. I won't go as far as to say there's no others, but they are.
We haven't encountered any yet.
No, you haven't.
Right, and I don't think we've met anyone who's encountered any yet. Especially because Bren. Well, we might have, but Bren is always disguised, so it's not like somebody would be like, "Oh, hey, you're one of those things from Cork,"
Yeah, exactly. People, the term tiefling would maybe exist in a theoretical term somewhere in town. Like Sid has maybe come across that in his like 6 months of study, but like, it's not a known phenomenon.
Yeah.
Basically.
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon. Here's a question for all the table. What is your favorite episode of Hearthfire Tales that you've recorded thus far? And this is from Corey. Corey Lansdell. And he also asks, do you miss me? Which I'll get into after. Of course we miss you, Corey.
Of course.
Corey, we miss you so much.
Yeah.
Can we answer at the same time, Ryan?
Ooh. Now, HFT, are we doing...
Everything.
Yeah. You know the answer.
Well, go on, Jim. You clearly have a.
Okay.
Go on.
We're just on three.
No. I'm interested in yours more than.
Yeah. Hit us with this, Jim.
My answer is a meme answer. I thought it'd be funny if we all said it together. But date episode first.
Oh no! No one likes the date episode.
I love the date episode.
The date episode was very fun. I don't think it's my favorite episode that we've recorded.
No,
not. I don't know. I couldn't pick a favorite. I saw that question come in, and I'm like, "Fuck if I know." I mean, maybe I think the Battle of Stones Reach. I'm going to say those 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Because like 1, like the story developments, 2, like Ryan's sound design on them, all the music, 3, just how into the role playing stuff we all were in that episode.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean that was fun. The Bellicor episode was great payoff. It's also my favorite
Yeah.
music I've ever written. Episode 2 of Whispering Ashes 1, when you all start to realize you're not real.
Yeah.
That I loved that. That was as someone writing a story, that was probably my favorite thing I've done there.
Yeah. See, I could also say Whispering Ashes just because how fun that was, especially like how fun it is to role play that kind of. Yeah, well, actually, I'm not.
Fair, I can't stop you.
Yeah, I'm in another county. No, I'm not. Fuck, you're close. To role play 2 people kind of fighting for control of a consciousness almost. That was really cool.
Patrick actually has a comment there that actually makes a good point. It seems like all the ones that we're saying are the ones with twists, because he says, what an amazing twist. And all the ones that have like these crazy twists in them seem to be what our favorite things were. And I think it's because those are the times where each of us as players, like are so caught off guard and love what the DM has done in that regard, and things like that. So
yeah, I think I would probably say the Battle for Stones Reach is my favorite episode that we've done. It was the payoff, the culmination of so many things coming together.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very, not to toot my own horn, but I thought it was a very, very interesting combat.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really, really good episode for storytelling through combat, which is something doesn't happen that often, or it's very it's harder to do in D&D because it becomes so much of this ability and this, and the whole like Sid awakening his dreamer powers in that episode, because of a throwaway thing that you did 2 episodes ago where you were like, I don't want to sleep, I just want to keep going, and things like that. And then like you
and then it paid off. That was.
And then you paid off, and I was able to incorporate it. Then I was like, oh yeah, of course, Maynard's going to be able to bring this in and like talk, kind of taunt him with this. We kind of had all of these storylines converging with like Axel coming back into it, and stuff. And then obviously the whole like con, like sacrifice elements, was it was just. It was definitely some of the best D&D we've ever played, I think. But I will also say that I think Whispering Ashes 1 was very, very, is kind of up there because it was the first time it wasn't me D&Ding on the podcast or me DMing on the podcast, and so it was kind of like, oh, this is also new, this is such like a new thing, and we weren't used to doing horror, and we and then then all the kind of the twists and things that were there as well was
we didn't know what to expect from
it's so funny because I actually a lot of people have talked about like what was like scary and stuff like that, and that Whispering Ashes 2 was a scarier concept, but I think we'll never be able to capture again the way you guys did not expect where I was going to go with horror. Now you all know. Now
the expectation has been set.
Yeah, where that first time it was like, whoa, so like
for sure.
Like that scene with Iris, like at the beginning, like I'll never be able to catch you guys off guard like that.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think you will. I think you're going to catch us off guard again.
I was talking in the Discord there earlier, like honestly, for Whispering Ashes 3, if it's not that you've bugged our houses and are going to arrange for like a slasher serial killer to come in and actively try to murder us and just release that as found footage, then to be honest,
I think he's gone
question your
deeper.
commitment to the podcast if you don't go that far.
I think he's gone deeper than that. Like the other day, I was sitting there watching a film with Colette, and I was just looking at her, and I was like, "Is she a paid actor?" You know,
from the beginning.
Yeah,
from 10 years ago.
No, Matt is the paid actor. You
that's the real horror. You swapped out my child.
Oh my god! Wow.
I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't. Like, and I'm like, what was he doing in Asia? You know?
Yes.
Well, it's so funny because the first picture I sent you guys from, well, no, I first was annoying you guys by only sending you pictures of bathrooms. But
yeah,
but then I said,
we were like, you've been in Asia like 3 days, Ryan. Like, tell
Where are
us
the
what's going on. Send me things,
Yeah.
and he'd send us like poorly cropped photos of like him walking to the bathroom and like a plate of food.
Not
with his
even a
hand
shot
covering
out
it
the
and
window.
stuff.
Yeah.
I was like purposely making sure you guys couldn't see any windows or anything
Could
outside.
be on
And I said
holiday
everything,
in
and I blocked you on
Tala,
Instagram,
like.
so.
Oh, God. Next
Anyway,
question, Joe.
speaking of Whispering Ashes and kind of other system or other kind of many things that we've done, Becca is asking, are there any other systems you guys would like to play around with in the future for one shots?
Ooh, can I spoil
Yeah.
something for 2024?
Absolutely.
I am currently writing a story using the Avatar: The Last Airbender system. And we're going to do something coinciding with the launch of the live action show. I'm doing a bit of a story. There's a lot of prep that we've got to get in place for that, but something to be excited for February 2024.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. We of course then also have in 2 weeks' time for Midwinter Tale, we're playing Kids on Bikes.
Yeah.
Which
true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That hasn't come out yet.
Very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We recorded that like 4 months ago.
Weird.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I have my eyes on Scion. I've only played Scion the first edition, but I'll probably be playing the second edition, I would say.
Scion is like the godly one, right?
Yeah,
Where you're
so
all
basically
like absolute gods.
You're kind of I can't remember the ins and outs of it. So you're either a demigod or like you're the avatar of a god on like in like modern day.
It's real Percy Jackson.
I was gonna ask, is that like real Percy Jackson type?
Yeah, kind of, but everything is about being as over the top as possible. So literally baked into the mechanics are, for want of a better word, cool dice. So based on how well you describe what you're doing and
Call 'em
how
flash
over the
rollers,
top it
please.
is, you get bonuses to your dice rolls. So you'll get to roll more dice the cooler the thing you're doing is.
It's kind of like a more upbeat version of the stress dice.
Yeah,
That's what I was wondering.
It's not too similar to that, because it's like on a 7+ is a success on a D10. So obviously the more dice you roll, the more chance you have of succeeding. And so the plan for that is to actually do, and this answers another question that Kier had, is what are Dragon Force up to at the moment? I am planning a kind of side story, kind of similar to Khan's prologue, of kind of doing some more stories in the history of Death One, which are going to call like the Legends of Death One series, and that's going to be Legends of Death One Dragon Force, where the guys
I hate that
Dragon
it's in the
Force.
history, because then I can't just like jump off a cliff.
That's precisely why it's in the history, Ryan.
Sorry, can I interject very, very quickly to say, Ben Percival, you are an absolute legend. Absolute legend.
Okay.
And also, I glossed over it earlier. Yes, Corey, I do miss you. I miss you, and I miss Josie, and I miss Zoe. I'm sad. Anyway, go on. Yeah, Dragon Force are a bunch of fucking pricks.
But yeah, so
I want a Legends of Death One about Sid's mom too.
Just saw that. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I did. What? Hey, yeah, I want that.
she's a
The
legend
Dreamers.
back. just to be so uncouth about it.
What?
Jesus
No.
Christ, Dylan. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Boo! Boo!
You're not invited to play Avatar: The Last Airbender.
No.
I want
No, I want to play a
Legends of
non-bender. I
Leguan.
want to have a boomerang. I just got to play Sokka, I think.
I
No,
want
you
to
get to
play
be a
Legends
cabbage
of
salesman.
Leguan
Fine.
with Aisling. That's entirely in a dream. That'd be class.
Mm.
I like that idea, Jim, and I might steal it.
Good. Good.
Um,
Good.
Well, spoilers, but totally within a different realm like that would be very.
Mm.
I can't spoil some.
Okay. Okay, here is one that a lot of people have asked us, both kind of in the submission for these questions and offline and in person and stuff like that.
Mm.
It's the big one. Is there
It's
any
Canadian
chance?
moose. Sorry, go on.
Is there any chance of Con coming back?
Mm.
I hope not. Hated that guy. I'm just kidding.
And kind of tied into this, I think someone else is I think you've talked about it before as well, Ryan, about kind of like Sid's perspective on it too, and how how Sid kind of views it as like a natural part of life. So kind of once the initial like revivify wasn't an option, that kind of Sid, has come to terms with it.
Mm. Sid's having a hard time. Sid, I wasn't sure how I was going to play it, and if you've learned anything about me from Whispering Ashes or from stuff I've said on the podcasts, I really like to do a lot of research on things. So I actually, I was telling Dylan, I actually downloaded some books about dealing with like witnessing like soldiers that have witnessed their friends die or have killed someone and how they've dealt with that grief. And one of the big things that I'm going to be bringing into this is, there's been a little bit already that he said about his utter anger toward the Hoots Force. But it's going to be basically on kind of almost like a suicidal spree. Like totally, you know how he used to like pull back a lot and be so worried about taking care of Fink. I'm going to have him kind of be the opposite of that, of being very willing to put himself in danger if it means killing Hoots Force.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think I ruined Sid.
I mean,
yeah, you did.
I think
Sid's
had a hard time of it,
I think from is Con ever going to come back? One, I'll never say never. I do think that had I really hope everyone in chat is up to date. Spoilers. But I think had Con died when ye were level 12, 13 or something, and like Con was like a big I want to say player on a national scale, like everyone knew him, he was like incredibly important and stuff. It would not be out of place in the genre of D&D and high fantasy to be like, okay, well, Jim plays a backup character for 3 episodes while Sid and Melody go on a quest to resurrect him. And I think that would have been completely kind of on brand.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, but
I think at level 12 though, right? And this is something I said to Dylan when we were talking about this amongst ourselves once, is that like and to put it like, just to put where I am on it, is I'm very much on I think it would cheapen it if he came back. I don't want him to come back. I really like his arc, but
you really like him dead.
Yeah, I have a little picture of him dead. No.
You took the sexy Con picture.
Well, that's why the first Patreon t-shirt is going to be that failed Con save shirt. So,
yeah, shit. Has everyone seen the Patreon t-shirt? It's grim. No, what was I saying? Like at level 12, right? You're at a very high power level, And also in D&D, like when you die, like there's a documented place you go. It's another plane of existence, you know? It's not like we don't know what happens. It's like, oh, well, he's over there. You know, he's doing
Yeah.
things on that plane. We just can't reach him. And I would like that barrier to be the tenuous barrier that's there, but let it still be as much a barrier as it is in real life, you know? Yeah, look, he's probably out there on the golden plains of whatever afterlife exists in this.
Oh yeah,
realm,
I suppose the way Dylan's built this world though, by being very low magic.
Yeah.
Ish,
You
yeah.
know, like, does that plane exist? You know, how much are we in actual D&D?
Can I meta
Realm.
game and say that I'm gonna guess it does exist because Bren exists?
I'm gonna guess it doesn't, because I don't believe in the gods. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
you're quantifiably wrong. But
Jim, your guess or your kind of like meta guess is correct. Like it does exist. There is like Mount Celestia and all that kind of like, you know, there is a typical kind of D&D cosmology in that one. It is just restricted, you know, there's those kind of interplays are not there as much, so it is a lot harder. And so that's why I'm saying never say never, but probably never.
He's probably got a new, met back up with his wife and everything. Well,
we don't even know she's dead.
Marianne, yeah.
I think
he's met up with the Kairos though. He's probably met up with the rest of Holy Thunder Force.
He probably has, yeah.
Which is a little something I do have in my noggin knocking around for maybe.
That's something we have discussed that, like what he would be doing.
Yeah, I don't think my throat can do to Kairos again. So
tough.
Yeah, well, you should have thought of that before you fucking. I do want to like okay, I know this is asked a lot and we've dwelled on it a bit here, but like I think I like Khan's arc. I like Khan's story. I think narratively it's very fulfilling when you see it from like weedy little Khan at the beginning right through to, you know, flat Khan under all the stones. It's a nice kind of arc. You know, there's nice duality. Like to quote George Lucas, it's like poetry. It rhymes. I don't know how much more story you could give to Khan without it cheapening it, you know?
Yeah.
And if he ever did come back, it would have to be very tangential, I think, or very brief.
Yes.
I think the main thing is that Khan now gets to be with his favorite member of his
Bolo!
Bolo!
I'd like to think he's riding Mercedes around up there as well. What were we saying till the other day? We'd love to do a what if, like a what if series.
Oh yeah, something that would be so cool.
One of the ones
like
I suggested is what if Bolo was the last surviving member of Holy Thunder Force instead?
And you
like, how fucked up would Lethuan be? Like?
Sid would just go, no, I'm going home. He meets up with this weird guy at the Battle of the Bands. He goes, no, I'll just do this on my own.
You know what? This is a very silly Battle of the Bands. I'm going home.
Ryan and Jim, this question is directly for both of you.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's probably for everyone because I've also been a player. I just don't consider myself a player that much. How did you come up with the names for your characters? And I kind of feel that this is mainly towards Sid and Khan, but I mean, if there's kind of anything else, any other kind of good naming suggestions or naming kind of stories?
I think we should talk about like Sid and Khan first, and then Whispering Ashes 1 has kind of an interesting hook there as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know, Ryan, do you want to go first for Lethuan?
Yeah, I mean, mine's very easy. When Dylan pitched the idea of, you know, this being a very music-based thing, and you know, the idea of characters and things being based off of actual, you know, people and stuff like that, you know, actual bands and stuff, I decided I really wanted to be a very big stereotype of like that that 80s, California, punk kid. And I know it's not Californian, but Sid is based off of Sid Vicious and the Rat Fink. So like
that's two Finks in one shot.
Yeah.
Hilariously, so many people are like, "Oh, Fink, that's a funny name for a rat," and I'm like, the Rat Fink. But apparently
that just didn't make it out of
we
America,
didn't know
so.
we didn't know what that was when you
I was just like, okay, Fink, sure.
Fink,
I
nice
could see that
name,
as a rat's
and
name.
so I looked up all these and showed them all these pictures. Like I was like, no, like Sid Vicious and the Rat Fink.
Yeah.
And we're like,
we had no clue.
But it's funny because now Jim and Dylan have bought me all these Rat Fink things.
He's a very easy person to buy presents for now.
It's made it very easy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where that comes from.
How about Con?
Con is Con is a story of two halves. The first one is I wanted a name that was suitably kind of fantasy and paladin-y, so warrior kind of thing. So I just said Con. And Greystone, I have a habit of naming fantasy characters after locations in Ireland. So like historically, I've had like Avoca, the necromancer, Rathfarnham, the paladin, like Irish names just lend themselves
Blackrock,
to,
of course.
Yeah, Finton Blackrock. So I just did that, really. More interestingly, like Dylan, when we were talking about Bren, like we went in on Bren's name.
So many ideas.
Like 2 or 3 days of just throwing names at the wall to see what stuck. Like, and like we were going in on like the etymology. At one point, he was going to be called something else for a very long time.
Duke,
Achilles.
I think was
Duke and Achilles.
Yeah,
were the other two that he was going to be for a very, very long time. And then we were like, for some reason, like nothing to do with his character anymore. We were like, oh, he should be named after like a navigator, like Brendan the Navigator. And I was like, Bren, it's perfect. Nothing to do with his character anymore. He even has a second name that I can't remember.
Couldn't
it's Bren Skellige. It's Bren Skellige.
Oh yeah, Skellige.
Because the Skellige Islands, Brendan the Navigator. It's like doesn't have anything to do with him. Like exercise in futility.
And then for Whispering Ashes 1, because I don't think any of the other ones have any kind of interesting stories behind names before.
I would say Midwinter Tales.
Oh, sorry, of course. Go on, get your other American reference that none of us know. Yeah,
Yukon.
Yukon Cornelia.
Can I say very much like Yukon and Hermie are 2 of my favorite D&D characters I've ever seen play. I love them so much. Like just seeing them like fills my heart with joy. I love them so much.
Secretly being a werewolf was very fun as well.
Yeah, that was good. The
unnecessary reveal.
I know, it's just so goofy.
Double bluff your character.
Yeah. To me, who's your fellow player? It's not even like you're fucking over to DM. It's just like okay, Ryan, well done.
Conspiring with me, and I was like, okay, but why?
They're asking who Brendan the Navigator is, and I just didn't say anything because I didn't know either. But now that someone else doesn't know, then
Brendan the Navigator is the patron saint of navigators, and he was like, but what he actually was an Irish sailor, and he's like an Irishman who sailed all over the world and had like cool adventures and stuff. And then Christianity was like giz patron saint, but yeah, more
Catholicism is weird, man.
Oh yeah, you do something cool. Now it's part of Catholicism.
Whispering Ashes 1, then Ryan came to us and was basically like, oh, please make for me the most generic fantasy characters you possibly can.
Yeah. And
so he's like, doesn't matter what it is, they just need to be like, the characters. He said the characters themselves can be kind of somewhat. I don't even think he said
like the build could be interesting, but the concept had to be vanilla AF, just like
so I was
out of the box fantasy characters.
So I was like, okay, can I be like fucking just a real over the top zealous cleric, and he was like, yeah, perfect. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I started looking at cleric builds, and I was like, I really like the light cleric because I think it was really, really interesting. Had a lot of cool mechanics.
When
and
you
stuff.
were a light cleric, I was like, yes.
Like honestly, like such a coincidence.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, green is the Irish for sun. I will just drop the G and call myself Rian. And that's it tends to be how I name all my characters. Well, a lot of my characters, especially for NPCs, is just like, what's their name in a different language of a element of their personality or backstory.
Which is such a fun way to
translated a couple of times or into a couple of different languages, and then kind of to get an inspiration of how it might sound. Which is why, like, I think Azumakia is something is translated to Eastern Empire and things like that because it's in the East, and the Tuahan Empire is Natua because it's to the north. Like so, like a lot of my stuff is just like that.
Now, what about Shuri? You know,
I thought
a lot of thought.
I spent a long time thinking about that one, and then I just thought to myself, left quarter circle, left punch. And it came to me.
Sure, you can.
I spun around an awful lot on that name. What was really funny is someone in the Discord, the Irish TTRPG Discord, was like, "Sure, you can." That's just like a joke name you'd give a D&D character, and we were all like,
It's precisely what it was.
Whispering Ashes 2, it was very funny because I didn't want to spoil something from the very end to them.
I mean, maybe let's tread a little lightly on this one because this is only recently.
Fair. So I won't say exactly what it is or anything, but Jim came to me with his character's name, and he was like, "Oh, and his last name is this." I was like, "Oh, you mean his middle name is that?" And he's like, "No, it's his last name." I'm like, Nah, because he's got another last name.
I just love that you just assumed we wouldn't come up with last names for particularly in a modern
setting, and you're like,
and then you were like, "Oh, and you know this with our last names and this whole backstory," and I was like, but no. It's so funny because looking back now, I could have just had her take Michael's name.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I like it. It worked out well. It actually worked out.
Yeah.
Can we do a sneak peek and give away the names of your characters for Midwinter 2?
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Yeah. What's my name? No, I actually don't.
You're Randall.
Yeah, no, I remember Randall. I don't remember Ryan's name though.
Brittany,
yeah.
Brittany and Randall Radcliffe, because it has the word "rad" in it.
Those are my initials. Hey.
Yeah, your initials.
Yeah. Brittany was. Yeah, it's set in the. Are we? I don't know. How much am I allowed to say?
I think Jim kind of.
I think I've said it before. Yeah,
we're probably going to start promoting it like next week. So
yeah. Here's a quick synopsis of it. It's kids on bikes. It's much lighter than most things we've done before, and it's set in the 80s in a small town called Pinecridge Reek.
Yeah. For people, I know Becca, for example, loves like really roleplay heavy stuff. You're going to love Midwinter's Tale.
It's like 80-90% roleplay.
Yeah.
Compared to our usual like 50-50 balance or whatever, you know.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, and so Brittany just got the name from, just typical American, 80s girl. Very popular name in the 80s. And man, I'm so embarrassed listening back because I spent a long time like watching like voice coach videos and things to do a girl's voice very well. But man, as each episode, I start out very well, and as it goes, my voice just gets tired, and I just lose it.
This is the problem, Ryan. Never try.
Yeah,
Becca wants to know. Can we get a sneak peek of the character voices?
No, not right now.
No,
it takes me a long time to get into it because
I honestly can't remember it.
That's
I
fair.
would need to hear it again to do it in any way justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main
I would
thing
love
about
to, but
Midwinter
it's
2
tough.
is more Marco.
Tell you what, we will. Can we like drop like a little sneak peek of like our character introductions or something into the Discord at some point over the next couple of
Yeah.
days for people?
That's exactly what we'll do.
We'll
In
do
that
that.
intro-
I'll
in
clip
that
I'll
intro
clip a bit of it.
music.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
put that intro in there.
Orange Boy. Oh, that's Kylo. Yeah, we'll just drop. Ryan wrote the intro music, and it's incredible.
Yeah,
I was
it's very
like, I
good.
wanted to have the energy of the National Aerobics Championship, and you just nailed it.
So funny. I spent so long just sitting there staring at my computer, like going through different synth like things and just being like, I don't know how to write stuff. I don't know how music works. And then I just moved to drums and I was like hitting different drum effects. And I hit that bass drum that I used and I was like, oh shit. Oh yeah, I'll hit this snare here. And then I just switched back to the synth and I was like, bap, 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 bap. And I was like, okay, there we go. Wrote it in like 20 minutes.
We are we're kind of coming towards the end in a bit. Still, like maybe like 15, 20 minutes left.
I miss you
Probably
guys.
questions. But just going to shout out to Twitch chat if you guys have any questions. I'm kind of beginning to run low on questions now. So if you have any questions you want to ask, they don't have to be Hearthfire related. You can ask us whatever you want. We will answer them. But this is a question for us all. If we could call the past to when the podcast is starting and give ourselves some advice, what would it be?
Preamps work differently than you think.
Yeah, where I would say, fuck, I don't know. So much advice to do it all differently. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I don't know if I would do. There's a lot of small technical stuff that I would do differently for sure.
Yeah,
it's all tech stuff that I feel like I would.
Yeah, like obviously our sound quality and stuff is upgraded a significant amount. Kind of over the the nearly 2 years that we've been doing this. So there's a lot of kind of stuff like that where we'd be like, oh yeah, when you're starting off, just spend $3,000 on equipment. We'd be like, okay, yeah, we'll do that, and then we get told to feck off by our past selves. But I mean, there'll be simple things that we could probably do to learn that. I think, again, on the kind of production side, I would say start doing video. Start with video. Figure out how to do that.
See, it's so funny though, because we wanted to at the beginning as well, and a lot of it just had to do with time and money and things like that as well.
Time, money, resources,
logistics,
the space and stuff, because we were in your kitchen, in your
100%. And I mean, that's the thing about the tech part too, is like I didn't have the studio to work in, at that point. Like so it's like no matter what advice we would give in that regard, it's not like we could really do it.
Act on it, yeah. I think on that note, like actionable advice, I'd give past Jim anyway. I don't know as much as you guys, but don't be so strung up on where you see things going in your head, because the story is better if you just let it flow naturally. Because I'd be very much like, I need this to happen in this episode, or I want this to happen. And sometimes that would detract from great things that could have happened, if I had just yes-anded the situation. So like, loosen to fuck up with storytelling, and especially role-playing as well. Like, I was very hesitant at the beginning to commit into role-playing that much,
Yeah, I think I think that's a very big one. I think if you look to the first 7 episodes we did, like episodes 1 to 7 of that one, it's very much I've put you on rails, and I've got this interesting battle of the bands thing to get through, and you do it, and that's kind
of needed that at the beginning though, to get the story rolling.
It did, and I'm not saying I wouldn't do something similar to that, but I definitely did it like that also from a place of like insecurity as a DM, where I don't think I was maybe good enough to really kind of like roll with the punches half as much. And I've now kind of moved way more into a prep situations, not
Yeah,
you know, as you said, Jim,
not
things
a
that
linear
have to happen and
storytelling.
stuff.
Yeah,
It's just like I've got, especially because the way I write is I've got like, I tend to have kind of big story moments that are in my head that I tend to write towards to be like, oh, it'd be so cool if this happened, this happened, this happened. And then very quickly from playing with you guys a lot, I was like, oh, there's probably very little chance of this happening. And I've kind of just been very much like, okay, just go with it. Just put the world in front of the players with a strong enough hook so that they're, you know, bought into it and know what they're doing. But how they go about everything needs to completely be up to them. And I think, you know, I would kind of just tell myself to trust myself a little bit more in that, you know, I can do it. Basically. So yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, when I go back and listen to episode 1, because at some point when there are 72 hours in a day, I will, you know, like re-edit
Remastered.
and
Yeah.
remaster episode 1 and 2. And when I go back and listen to those, like Jim, you and I sound nervous. Like,
oh yeah, like,
and it's so funny listening now because we're not nervous at all when we're doing it, you know, but we sound so nervous, you know.
Well, we probably suffer for that as well, like, because we were so focused on doing well then, and now we're like, yeah, fucking cat girls, frogs, yeah, fucking.
Yeah, but I think it works well with our live show, you know, and everything, not being nervous and stuff. Like, man, start now. We could have never done a live show. Like,
no, like,
no,
not the way we do them now. Like, yeah.
Okay. Let me just kind of flick through my.
Somebody asked what our favorite color was. I saw that in the list of things that came through Instagram.
Oh yeah, used to be blue, but now it's green.
Mine's green too. Yeah,
nice. Mine is black.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know.
Bitch.
I'm so edgy. I'm so edgy.
So edgy. We know you're lying, and your favorite color is purple.
Yeah,
look at all the green behind him.
Black and purple.
Yeah,
that's my LARP stuff that doesn't count.
Custom tailored green LARP kit.
Yeah, whatever.
I feel. Your dream. Oof.
If you say anyone from
don't say oh
yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
It says our audio is gone. That's what Dredge is.
Oh, I don't know how that could happen. Ryan, give me some speaking.
Hello, I'm talking.
Oh, okay. They can hear us again now.
How'd you now? Okay, don't know.
Okay, that was weird.
How strange.
Yeah. Did you just hear my rant about famous people and how I hate them all?
No,
I
we
hope
don't
you
need to do
didn't.
it
It
again.
wasn't good. Don't do it again.
It's going to be under recording, so
I have my answer. Do you have yours, Jim?
Yeah.
Go on.
go for it.
William Shakespeare.
I mean, that's a good
I want to
answer.
play. I want to play a campaign DM'd by William Shakespeare, the man who the universe has accepted is the Bard. Yeah,
Wait.
fuck me, I want to play his game.
Actual William Shakespeare, or who they think is the woman that actually wrote his stuff?
Whoever wrote the books, get off your high horse. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, man, I'm just saying.
Look, just give Jim the Willie Shakes, okay? That's all you
Yeah.
want.
Just yeah.
Mine
Great, yeah.
would be, I would like to have as another player, Charlie Chaplin. I think he's such an incredible entertainer.
The silent movie star.
And no, he's
Although actually he
Wasn't
did
he-
give,
like the great, the
specifically
great dictator,
not
wasn't?
That
delivered
funny.
the greatest speech ever given on
Yeah, the
on
great
screen.
dictator
Yeah.
speech.
Okay, yeah. No, I could see that.
What
Yeah.
type of
Incredible
genre
entertainer.
would you play with him? Like a real serious kind of like thing?
No.
Or-
I just think
grim
like
dark.
similar to what we do, which is somewhat serious,
Okay.
somewhat comedy
Bit
things. I think he has such an incredible way of seeing the world. The way he would come up with like, his slapstick type stuff was a type of comedy that was never done, before that time. Like,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think if you put him in a sandbox type, Dungeons and Dragons thing, he could come up with some incredible ways to deal with like the situations and, to make some great scenarios there. And when it came down to the role play, he could just boom out with these speeches,
I
Yeah.
mean,
Big time. I was about to say Buster Keaton as well. Yeah, Trey.
who's Buster
Just doing
Keaton?
at the table stunts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy. He's
early
unreal.
actor.
We had Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin.
Okay, no,
Let's just
would you
play
not
a
say
game where we are.
LARP with those two then? That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'd say LARPing with them would be brilliant.
No, I
Can
don't
I
wanna
give another
do
answer
LARP.
as well? I'm much more.
You can give as many answers
Ryan.
as you want, birthday boy.
I think a much more expected and a bit of a cop-out answer, but I think Brando Sando would run an incredible campaign.
He was
I think
he's going to
just
be my second basic
world
bitch
building-
choice. Yeah.
Yeah, like as a bitch choice, Brando Sando would just give you a solid game of D&D. I think a solid campaign. Like you'd get really fun encounters with physics and stuff built in. I'd say.
Do you reckon he would be that good at D&D because he's so good at planning everything out and everything kind of slotting together so well that random chaos aspect of players might throw him if he's not used to it?
I don't think so. I think from his style of writing, he'd be able to, because he's got a very rapid, like American modern style of writing. I think he'd be able to pivot quick enough. Like, you know?
I think you
it's
would
not
have
like he has to
30
translate it
episodes.
into high fantasy.
You'd have 30 sessions of role play and one session of a big battle.
And that would be the best damn battle of D&D
good.
you'd ever played in your
But
life.
Even just like weird little mechanics and stuff. Like I'm trying to do a little bit of it in the Wizard of Wild Space with like the gravity bubbles around the ships and stuff. I'm trying to get a little bit of a Sanderson thing going on there. And I just think like introducing fun little quirky magic things or physics systems and stuff, he'd be really good at doing that. And I think it'd be great and fun to play.
Caitlin says Patrick Rothfuss as a suggestion because he plays.
He plays
Acquisitions Incorporated.
Acquisitions Incorporated, yeah.
The series that got me and Jim into D&D.
Yeah, that's the first D&D we ever listened to. It also inspired my entire play style of D&D with his love for chandeliers. Or chandeliers, as we call them in the business.
I would love to DM a game of Whispering Ashes for the lore director of Magic the Gathering, just so I could traumatize them for how they butchered Magic the Gathering over the past year.
Okay, this is getting very conversation.
Now we're just talking about our interests.
This conversation needs some deodorant.
This stopped being content a long time ago.
No, now we're getting into the great parts of it.
No, this is just Ryan has an audience on the mic, and he's like, finally,
They ruined it! We used to have something great.
Just fucking Nicole Bolas back every 2 minutes. Phyrexians or Eldrazi, whatever they're called.
See, Dread appreciates that it's a revenge table.
Yeah.
I'd like to have purely on like her voice. I'd like to have the narrator from Polterskate as a DM.
Oh yeah.
Just for like, you know, how good she is at that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, let's get actual voice actors instead of us.
Yeah.
Be great.
Yeah.
No.
Just
No, people will see
replace
we're
all
not
of us with better people.
You know what you guys should watch? Critical Role.
Why are you at our Twitch stream?
Yes. Okay, I think that's kind of like basically all that's the kind of the crux of the questions. There's random other ones. What are Storms you up to, and will you ever see a side adventure romance with the sexy wind dragon thing? Listen and find out. That's my
a
cop out
hard
answer.
no.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. There's one last one. Would you guys ever consider having a guest GM on the stream and/or pod so that all three of us could play together?
The
Asking
holy
for a friend.
trifecta.
This was just Caitlin's question as
We
a
talked
thinly
about it
veiled
a lot.
attempt to GM for us.
We've actually talked about it a few times, and
Yeah.
I suppose a very technical answer with it is that when you build like something, you know, like what we have, like you've kind of got an IP that, you know, you want to stick to. And we spend so long like wanting to do that. I suppose we've always liked the idea of it, but there's a lot of risk involved as far as our IP, which is a lot less when we have guest players, but a guest GM, it's much higher risk. You know, does that make sense?
I think there's a few people we trust with it. Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't let a randomer off the street come in and do it.
No. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, I don't mean like a randomer. I just mean.
I think there's. I don't see it happening anytime soon for the podcast. Purely,
Twitch, though,
purely because four of us can't fit in Ryan's room there. Like that's where Ryan is sitting is where we record. You physically can't fit another human being in there.
We've thought about it
around the table.
Decided logistically and just the laws of physics say this will.
I don't think it'll be 2024, but 2025 is probably when this wall is going to become a cable barrier, and the bedroom behind me is going to be turned into an actual recording area where I can put a big table in there, and then this will actually just be the production room. Where we can still do ours, but then the rest of it will be in there. But I don't think that will happen. Maybe by the end of 2024.
But otherwise, I think I'm totally up for a guest GM.
Yeah.
It would be on stream. I definitely think for aforementioned space reasons. But I mean,
just let us get our feet wet in the stream, and then we'll.
Yeah, I think the great thing about streaming is that we get to start interacting a lot more with other content creators, other GMs, other players and stuff. And like what's been great about doing the Wizard of Wild Space is, getting to play with Caitlin and Apollo and Harker and kind of like, getting kind of different things at the table. I think when we stream, it's always going to be at least two of us on it. So it is like kind of like still Hearthfire and not just someone else kind of. I don't think I wouldn't want to see it like whatever, Dimension 20 where it kind of just becomes we're a general kind of show and things happen. I think Hearthfire is always going to be the three of us in some configuration. So I think having us be part of it would be kind of key. But I would love, like, have we ever played the three of us together?
No, I don't think so.
Like, see,
which
Dylan,
it's never happened. It's always been one of us.
Yeah. Dylan, you're the hearth, Jim's the fire, and I'm the tail.
That's it. The podcast.
I'm the tail.
You know what? If you didn't describe me as the fire, I would hate that. But you describe me as the fire, so I love it. I'm down.
With that, two things. Ryan, get fucked.
Look, hey, Becca did that Hearthfire Tales for us.
I know.
That was great.
That was great.
Oh, can I do a quick little plug of a thing we're doing just while we have a week before the next Wizards?
Sure, yeah. Kind of
Um,
any final messages, speak now or forever hold your peace, or
Very
speak about it on
quickly,
social media.
we are doing a meme competition for the Wizard of Wild Space. Best meme based on episode 1 gets an NPC named after them in episode 2 ad infinitum until the end of the campaign. So go watch it. Deliver unto me your best meme, and I'll name an NPC after you in episode 2.
Nice.
Speaking of competitions, we don't have any details just yet, but we are planning an incredibly large giveaway of
Yeah. we really
like
are.
honestly, it's
insane.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But there is going to be I won't say details are to be determined, but we are going to be giving away a lot of dice. Like not just like a
Actually,
few, like
a problematic amount
an
of dice,
absurd
like,
amount
yeah.
of dice.
And not cheap dice. Like,
Yeah,
No,
like good dice.
like really good dice.
really good
Yeah.
dice.
We're not going to say anything more. You can probably guess who it's from because we've got a long-standing relationship with them. But stay tuned for that. It's going to be wild. And speaking of wild, it'll probably be run as part of our Wizard of Wild Space. Do you like that one, Jim? That was for you.
I did. I love that. Thank you. Shit, I gotta write that campaign.
So yeah, this will go up in the next couple of days once I get a chance to kind of just edit it together and show it up. Next week, 8:00, Jim will have a game ready for us with the Wizard of Wild Space, continuing on with that great story. We've kind of met all our characters now, and we've had a storm, and yeah, we're gonna see how that goes. And then
the boat's fucked.
The boat's fucked. And then on Sunday, the 26th of November, we have Midwinter Tale happening,
Parched
which
juice.
is super cool, super fun, and we'll kind of start sharing teasers and little sneak
it's
peeks.
going to hit the social media now in the next week or two. So.
Yeah. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. So yeah, thanks so much for people in Twitch chat for interacting and stuff. That was great. And thank you to everyone who's given us questions and submitted questions to us over on our Patreon, the social media, and Discord, all that kind of stuff. Speaking of Patreon, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Hearthfire Tales.
It's X-rated.
It is X-rated. You still have a chance to get a load of exclusive merch and things like that if you hurry and subscribe this month. And yeah, until then, stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous. Bye.
Stay scared.
Bye.